Today we need to talk about RM addressing his dating. We also need to talk about the new collab with Jung Kook, Kid Laroi, and Central C for the song Too Much. And then we also need to get into Jung Kook getting kisses by a man. But before we get into it, we have a sponsor. I am very excited to announce today's sponsor, June's Journey. This is a game, and I don't usually do games because I don't find a lot of them worth sharing, but this one is different. It has a great engaging story, but it's also really relaxing, which is why I really wanted to work with them. You solve puzzles basically to advance to the next round, and then the story moves along as well. The story is a murder mystery, and I don't really want to spoil anything more than that. You look for clues and specific items, and it's a really fun game to play while taking a bath or just unwinding for the day. You spend time looking for items, and it's a very fun version of I Spy. Each room you enter, there is a specific item that moves the story along. Now, if you get all the items before a certain amount of time, you can score a lot of stars. But if you just want to play to relax, there is no time limit, and you can just take your time, so it doesn't have to be an anxious thing. And with more stars, you can use those to earn more items to decorate your item, your mansion, and your garden. And you can even work towards having a very big and fancy mansion the more you play. There are so many levels or chapters to this game, so you won't finish it very quickly, and you're always able to just go back and replay a specific level that you might like. This is honestly such a fun game, and the game is absolutely free to download. I will put the link in the description. Please make sure you check them out and thank them for sponsoring today's video. We need to talk about a recent video that has resurfaced, and this is absolutely hilarious. We know that when BTS boys were more active together, there were a lot of cute stuff that happened behind the scenes. Of course, the boys love each other, but if the boys did end up hating each other, then this is something that the leader should be facilitating and helping out with. The leader should be able to be more level-headed and try to create harmony in the group, because if you're going into the studio to sing, your voice does a funny thing. Even if you're not nervous, scared, or angry, you feel like you aren't, your voice will pick it up, which will ultimately impact the group. However, this is not an issue that BTS members really come in contact with often. This is also a reason why it's so important for things to be lighthearted and fun backstage, and why you have literal moments in BTS's reality shows or behind the scenes clips where you see the boys do strange and just very silly things. There was a moment from, I believe, a Bangtan Bomb episode where J-Hope was giving Jung Kook kisses all over. This was of course very cute because we all see J-Hope as sort of a father figure to the boys, and he is. He is older and much wiser, and has even mentioned before that he raised Jung Kook, so naturally we are seeing the love that he has for the members here. People found it to be insanely cute how Jung Kook doesn't seem to object to the kisses. And of course, if J-Hope was someone who has never done this before, then Jung Kook would probably be like, stop, this is weird. But given that this is likely an action that J-Hope does often, it seems to not be weird at all. And people wonder what the other funny and cute moments must be happening behind the scenes. It also serves as a bit of a fan service where people who may prefer if Jung Kook was a certain orientation to fit a fantasy to get to see Jung Kook and J-Hope in this light. Of course, I have a bit of a controversial opinion to say that if the fandom prefers to see BTS in a certain light, in more of a fantasy way, then that should be allowed. I think fanfic, I think all of those things are okay. Where I draw the line is when people think it's okay and it's real in a matter of fact that they're willing to die by the fantasy or create this you versus them mentality. People who are willing to throw around hate or death threats over a ship. I think ships are fun. I have reacted to several ships on Patreon, even old videos on this channel. If you want to see it on Patreon, a link in the description. Hope to see you there, but I am aware all of this is not confirmed yet, and it's still for fun, given it's not confirmed. And I think if you can draw the line for yourself and understand that, of course, others are not going to participate in your fantasy, then the ship culture is fine. And not only that, the boys can put out more videos of kissing and hugging without the fear of other ships threatening them. So I don't want to say the names because I get death threats for mentioning a name, and people think I'm taking sides. But there's an alleged love triangle between the three members. When two of those members hug or do anything cute, the other remaining member will get death threats. So this is where the ships need to be drawn a line. We are, however, getting more and more of those members talking about dating, and this is of course going to cause a lot more conversation on what their orientation is and who they may be interested in dating. RM recently did a live stream and he addressed his relationship status, and Army actually asked in the stream As of course, RM isn't going to naturally bring this up in conversation, even if it's something he would like to talk about. I just want to say I'm really glad that the fandom has opened themselves up a bit to more allow themselves to be curious and human during a BTS stream. V talked about something a little while ago to say that the question he is seeing on the streams are very boring. And he got a lot of backlash for this, which is likely a reason why he never mentioned it before. But a lot of the fandom will announce rules for a stream, so in order not to hurt the boys, the literal fan club will do something like enact live stream etiquette. So not asking any specific questions and not bringing up scandals, and definitely no dating questions. This has honestly further pushed this idea that the members cannot date or do anything that is very normal because it makes it more taboo. And if you're a baby army just joining, you very quickly realize, oh, if anyone is talking about dating, they need to be stopped or threatened because this is hurting BTS. When in reality, it's not. And it also stops the members from addressing the topic because they're just not going to randomly bring it up themselves. When V said the questions were boring, this was a big hit to the fandom to say to stop with the super strict rules. It's actually no fun for anyone. And what happens is now the only questions or comments that are allowed on a stream is when is the album coming, or when is the tour, or Yoongi marry me, which yeah, that gets boring if that's the entire comment feed. You also need to keep in mind BTS doesn't really do variety shows or talk shows that much, meaning the only times we get to see or know them are from streams. But then when questions that would really get to know them are being limited, that's not good. So what does this result? It results in each person in the fandom having their own made-up fantasy about who the members are deep down, which is usually wrong, and then it also puts the members into a box they would never fit into, resulting in scandals when it comes to light that they aren't that person that they never said they were. During RM's stream, someone asked him to show his girlfriend, and RM had a good laugh about this to say that he would actually love to reveal his girlfriend, but he doesn't actually have one. There was a bit of a pause when he said he would love to, and that was definitely a moment where everyone was like, wait. This rumor comes from people seeing him with a ring on his hand or next to children, people believing that that's his kid, but he doesn't have one, but he also says that he would like to, meaning that he and the boys have likely thought about dating before. They have thought about what that would be like and that they would all genuinely enjoy that. One of the biggest things about dating is loneliness. And if you're someone who is mostly in relationships, it's hard to understand what it's like to go years without someone, but maybe being a social person and a person who wants connection, whether introverted or extroverted, we all connect with people. And for me, I spent many years just working and not meeting people outside of work. I was depressed. It was always strange how just going to work for me, like going into an office, was not a huge chore for me because it was the only opportunity to meet another human being. Meanwhile, those people I was meeting were not getting satisfaction from meeting me because they would rather be at home with their partners. So I say this story to say that the members are probably very excited when they see each other, but there is a different type of connection with a lover versus friends. And it's not healthy for them to put their love and passion into each other who are not their romantic partners, like what I was doing with people in my old corporate job. It didn't end well because they're not romantic partners and they don't have romantic or deeper connections, which I imagine we all need to get from somewhere. So I hope they do all end up dating, and I hope it doesn't become a big deal. The members are, however, very busy, and unless they hit the brakes on that a little bit, they won't have much time to even give a romantic partner the love that they would need to give them. Jung Kook recently has been working on a collaboration with Kid Laroi and Central C. This is a big deal as we see Jung Kook working with some people that he likes. Jung Kook was also previously spotted at a Kid Laroi concert, so we know that he loves Kid Laroi music, and thus this is a very natural and great collaboration to do. Laroi released a teaser for the song Too Much that Jung Kook is featured in, and people had some comments about this. They think that since Kid Laroi announced that Central C was going to be on it, this would imply Jung Kook's orientation. And I think that's funny that Central C did a song called Joja. The lyrics was, "How can I be homophobic when my girl is gay?" People liked the idea of changing the lyrics to say, "How can I be homophobic if Jung Kook is gay?" And people think that this is also a way for Jung Kook to come out. I think this is probably just for a joke, and the fandom means nothing of it. I think it's absolutely hilarious that this is even happening, and I think it's funny for people to see Jung Kook, who they think is a baby, to see them working with artists who have released very explicit lyrics before. We live in an interesting time where, of course, art is going to reflect culture and art is going to reflect real life. Just like how historians look back at songs that were popular before, like Rockabye Baby or London Bridge, new historians will look at this generation to see what types of things we were all doing. So in this case, I would rather these artists just say the type of explicit things they're doing rather than doing it behind the scenes anyway and not talking about it. I'm not saying Jung Kook is doing it but not saying it, but we have no idea. And he could, right? I have no judgment if he does. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks, just love to comment right here. Love you, bye.